Hello once again, this is Jonathan. Welcome to Boards and Chords. Come on in and take a seat because we've saved a seat for you. Today we're talking about Fallout 4, the video game. And as it opens up it says war never changes. This has been a byline for most of the franchise. But even though war never changes, perhaps the world of Fallout certainly has. Now in its fourth or really fifth iteration, if you count New Vegas, and you totally should, the franchise has really evolved into something special. Fallout 1, which was released in 1997 by Interplay, drew heavily in inspiration from the 1987 video game Wasteland, which was also by Interplay. This post-apocalyptic role-play game, Fallout 1 that is, featured a sort of two-thirds top-down isometric sort of view with real-time movement and interaction, which switched into a turn-based system whenever combat began. Now, Fallout 2 expanded on this popular title with more character building and better graphics. Fallout Tactics released as a more tactical and less role-playing game to mixed success. In it, the player assembled a team and sent them out to various sites to eliminate enemies in various environments. The RPG elements were much lighter as Fallout Tactics focused unsurprisingly on the tactical aspects of the squad battles of Fallout 1 and 2 in a similar way to some other tactical games like XCOM.
Hey, my turn, big guy.
Now, Fallout changed quite significantly when the Bethesda studios took over the development of the franchise. Fallout 3, which takes place in Washington, D.C., received a full facelift with a new graphics engine, becoming instead of a turn-based tactical squad RPG, a first-person open-world action RPG. To my mind, even though it was a significant change in direction for the franchise, it breathed new life into what may have become a stagnant title otherwise. Soon after, Bethesda released Fallout New Vegas, using the same graphics engine, but exploring a new area of the American wasteland with a new story. And now the most recent, at the time of this recording, is Fallout 4, with a new graphics engine and further developments and expansion to the open-world first-person role-playing game. As with the other games in the franchise, it's set approximately 200 years in the future after a world-devastating nuclear war with China, and this release follows the protagonist as he or she explores downtown and suburban Boston, delving into subways and bunkers and neighborhoods, factories and skyscrapers. The player will interact with survivors trying to eke out a living in the scarred city, fighting menacing raiders who will try to steal and kill everyone weaker than they are, hosts of mutated and dangerous creatures, and more. An engaging story of loss, slavery, power, and desperation drives the exploration of Boston by the player as he or she unravels the mysteries of the Commonwealth. The player's choices in dialogue and actions mold the story in different and meaningful ways. Alliances and enmities form as the player fulfills quests, tilting the balance of power and influence of the major factions in the area. There's even weapons and armor crafting and a settlement building minigame that the Sims loving player can tinker with. Fallout 4 is definitely the best looking game of the franchise. The character creation process offers more options and better looking ones than any of its predecessors. The city and surrounding wastelands feature great environments and design work. making the world decayed and run down, yet alive with hardened and determined survivors, both human, plant, and animal, and the occasional robot. The glow of the city lights, bonfires, stars, and sunsets fill the nights with beauty and mystery. I'm also happy with the sound quality of the game, as the world that Bethesda has created and populated comes nicely to life with creature croaks and cries, machinery sounds, and varied weapon fire sounds. Also, the voice acting works pretty well, especially for the protagonist and the main characters. Although some of the bit players and generic settlers and survivors often come off as a bit wooden and repetitive and unconvincing. The VATS, body part targeting, remains in the game as one of the remaining holdovers from the early series installments, slowing time as you select a particular body part to aim at for a quick kill or incapacitation. One can engage fully in combat without using VATS, just as a straight shooter type game, but making those perfectly aimed shots will require more skill. For someone focused more on the RPG gameplay than a run and gun sort of game, VATS will allow your character to focus on the skill that the character has, taking priority over the player's shooter skill, so this might be welcome to many players. Still, the option remains to treat it as a full first-person shooter, so that versatility can cause more players to be attracted to Fallout 4. Fallout 4 really has a lot going for it. It's designed to immerse the player in a broken world full of relics and ghosts of the past, of characters struggling to survive in a world similar and parallel to our own. As an aficionado of disaster movies, I enjoy exploring the broken down cities of America and helping clear the rubble and reform society, even as others work to tear it down. The sandboxy nature of the settlement building and weapon and armor crafting scratches an itch and gives me a great, it seems to me to be a great idea for inclusion in this kind of a game. Of course, Fallout 4 is not without its problems too. For a game in which every choice supposedly matters and changes the world, most of the choices really seem not to be all that significant. This becomes especially obvious if one loads mods that change the dialogue tree in the game for the protagonist to show what the character will actually say, instead of just the flavor tone of the responses available as it does in the unmodified game. The responses then mostly show that even though you may have 4 options available to you, they all, or maybe all but one, have the same result. If not, maybe they'll branch once or twice, but then send you right back to the same result. This is understandable from a programming point of view. You know, you can't really conceive of and code an infinitely branching story. Still, whenever one has played it a few times and explored the different dialogue options, it starts feeling a little bit canned. The settlement system, as much as I love the idea, really didn't live up to my expectations and hopes. I estimate that I've spent over half of my Fallout 4 hours designing and building settlements, and I purchased and played with all of the DLC and settlement add-ons. I've had a good time with it. I love cleaning out a building and me and my companions waddling out on an enormous load of junk that I'll use on gun and armor modifications and building up a settlement. But I can't help but feel like this aspect of Fallout 4 was really a botched implementation. It could have been great. And rather than solving the problem, I feel like the various settlement DLC packs really just highlighted them. Most of the problems come in the form of inability to place, build, and snap together items that mysteriously don't, but ought to work. Most of my building time feels like I'm fighting the tools to make them do what they should. They're really fiddly that way. Furthermore, defense settlement often doesn't work in an intuitive manner. The challenges of settlement include the provision for your people's food, water, and shelter needs, but also for protection against raids that will occur periodically. Now, the settlements have borders outside of which the players may not build, but the settlement can extend right to that edge. The raids, in immersive logic, should occur from groups of bandits, or mutants, or robots, whatever, coming from outside the camp, in which case the most sensible thing to do would be to build big defensible walls, right? Well, however, it turns out that many of the settlements have raider spawn points that are inside the settlement borders, resulting in you needing to build to fit the game, gaming the system really, such as making a huge pile of mega gun turrets that are pointed right at the spawn point for the raiders, instead of building for the world we're supposed to be immersed in. And this just seems like something that could have been fixed. But you know, this is the dilemma. For all my complaining, this game still calls me back. When I feel the itch to play, I'm usually thinking of the exploration and the crafting and the building. And I fire up Fallout 4 once again. And it's because that I love it that I want so much more from it. And happily, there is lots of mods out there that are available and can fix some of these problems, or at least make them a little less painful. Alright, talking about it then from a family perspective, I'd have to say that for all of its strengths as a game, I really can't recommend it as a family game. Multiplayer in Fallout 4 has no multiplayer mode, so playing it together could only happen if one is playing and another watching. But this doesn't work well either, and nor can I really recommend letting kids watch it over the shoulder of the adult playing it. Fallout 4 bears the rating M for good reason. Fallout 4 contains very little sexual content and no nudity within the game that I can recall. The most undressed you or the other people in-game can possibly even get is if you take someone's armor, they will remain in their underwear, and you can't remove that. Fallout 4 also portrays a world in which the civilization is broken down and where might makes right. So violence occurs regularly and features prominently in the game, often with graphic blood and gore resulting. Post-apocalyptic Boston is a rough and coarse place, and the language reflects it. And you'll find all of the naughty words here in the wasteland. As far as drugs, alcohol, and smoking, this world may have ended, but still people look to distract themselves from their stress and their troubles by destructive means. New as well as familiar intoxicants appear with some frequency in this game, and while not required, players can both make and make use of them. Frightening and intense imagery does occur, as startling scenes often happen as creatures will rush the players and attack. But more concerning would be the scenes in which monster lairs and raider bases have skeletons, blood, and body parts strewn all about.
Hope you ain't here for me.
Alright, so strategy tips. Fallout 4, as an open world game, plays in some ways like a bit of a sandbox. Therefore, there's no one best way to play. The player can follow any number of courses, focusing on the parts of the game that he or she like best. But planning your character can be very helpful for excelling in the game, though. If you like building and crafting, concentrate on raising the crafting skills and attributes. If you want to focus on being the best fighter, concentrate on the fighting skills you're interested in and enhance it as far as possible. Two of the best builds that I've found revolve around the stealth and sniping skills as one character. someone who stays hidden and shoots people in the head from very far away with a very powerful rifle. The other strong build for this game that I found is the melee character, and who picks up the associated melee perks. There's a lot of them that go in, and stealth is helpful in that, and you do well to try that if you are enjoying a melee type character. So in my final thoughts then, I would have to say that I really love the Fallout series. I've been playing Fallout 1 since it came out, and I've eagerly bought and played each sequel as they've been released in the years since. I've also enjoyed the open world direction that the series has gone in since the Fallout 3 release, and I hope and expect that Bethesda will continue doing with future Fallout games what they do so well, and that is open worlds. Although Fallout New Vegas holds the top honor as my favorite Fallout game, Fallout 4 holds second place currently. As of this writing, I have over 650 hours logged in the game on my Steam account, so I guess you might say that I've enjoyed it. While I would call it a flawed gem, it remains a gem nonetheless, and a valuable one at that. But I cannot recommend Fallout 4 for kids, or really even comfortably for teens. The amount of graphic content is far beyond what I want to expose my kids to, not whenever there's other quality titles out there that I can more readily endorse. So that's going to bring us to the end of our review today on Fallout 4. I hope you enjoyed and got something out of it, and stay tuned because we will have more coming up with Boards and Chords. Have a good evening. Thanks for joining us on Boards and Chords. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or at our website at boardsandchords.com. We'll see you at the table.